Chapter 5670, Please treat me better in the future. After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, Instructor Yen squeezed out a smile and said, Sect Master Yuan, I was indeed joking just now. Vice Sect Master Xiao sent us here in advance to help you explore the way. Since you have already arrived, we will take our leave first. Then thank you very much. However, since we have already split up, we won't need to trouble Vice Sect Master Xiao to do so much in the future. I would like to trouble Instructor Yen to convey my intentions to Vice Sect Master Xiao, Sect Master Yuan said indifferently. Sect Master Yen laughed dryly and agreed. Then, he led the few upper academy students away in dejection. Sect Master Yuan ignored them and said to the crowd, Divide into groups and kill the thunder-devouring mushrooms. Be careful. The crowd immediately divided into groups and used spiritual beasts to lure the thunder-devouring mushrooms out of the ground. Then, they divided into groups and killed them. These thunder-devouring mushrooms would not take the initiative to attack humans unless they stepped into their sphere of influence. This was also the reason why Sect Master Yen and the students were safe and sound. Yun Chuzhou was still in a group with Min Dai and the others. Because He Xinjiu had made a great contribution today, Min Dai and the others treated her much better. Min Dai even asked her to watch the battle from the side. There was no need to fight. He Xinjiu shook her head. Having more people means more power. I can't be special. Moreover, I'm atoning for my crime and making contributions. I can't be lazy. When Min Dai and the others heard this, their impression of her became a little better. They reflected in their hearts. Perhaps they had wronged her before. In fact, she was quite kind. Without the help of the students from the upper and middle school, they spent a lot more effort than usual to kill all the thunder-eating mushrooms here. However, when they saw the scattered thunder-striking stones not far away, everyone's fatigue was swept away. They began to pick up the thunder-striking stones excitedly. He Xinjiu did the same thing. First, she released her red claws and cursed. Then, she sat on the ground dejectedly and secretly used Xiao Mogu to absorb the power of the thunder and lightning underground. At this moment, the sky was already getting dark. Sect Master Yuan urged everyone to quickly pick up the lightning strike stones to prevent any unexpected changes. After Yun Chuzhou had finished absorbing the power of lightning underground, she moved closer to Sect Master Yuan and asked curiously, Sect Master, can't we spend the night here? There's no wind here, and Sect Master Yuan found her very pleasing to the eye and explained, You might not know this, but since this is the place where lightning strikes rocks are produced, the probability of being struck by lightning is much higher than other places. It's possible that we might be struck by lightning here. Also, don't look at those lightning-devouring mushrooms that have already been killed by us. However, some of their spores will remain deep underground. At night, they will fly out from underground, and their attack power is comparable to a large group of demonic insects, therefore, it's very dangerous to stay here. Yun Chuzhou finally came to a realization. Although this fellow really wanted to stay here and wait for the lightning to strike, she also knew that the probability of a heavenly lightning strike was not high. Moreover, Sect Master Yuan could not possibly leave her here alone. She could only reluctantly leave with Sect Master Yuan and the others. When Min Dai saw that she was unhappy, she thought that it was because of the lightning strike stone. She painfully took out a lightning strike stone and handed it to her. You have also put in a lot of effort these days. This lightning strike stone is yours. Yun Chuzhou immediately accepted it without hesitation. If she didn't want it, it would be a waste. Min Dai thought that Yun Chuzhou would reject it no matter what. She didn't expect that she would actually accept it so readily. Her heart hurt even more. Yun Chuzhou saw her like this and said with a smile, Little butterfly, don't worry. It's not a loss for you to give me this lightning strike stone. You will be rewarded well. A person like me, who is favored by God, will definitely bring you good luck. So, you should treat me better in the future. Chapter 5671 Minute Dai glared at He Xinjiu. She felt that she had gone crazy just now. She actually felt that she was a little pitiful. What the hell? Sect Master Yuan led everyone to a place where they could take shelter from the wind and set up camp. Just as everyone had finished packing, they saw Vice Director Xiaofu and the others rush over. Everyone couldn't help but look at Sect Master Yuan. There was some worry in their eyes. They were afraid that Vice Director Xiaofu would make trouble because of the marking. Unexpectedly, neither Vice Director Xiaofu nor the other lecturers mentioned the mark. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Vice Director Xiaofu said with a fake smile, "Sect Master Yuan, we have taken down 2 lightning strike stone producing areas today. Your lower house only took down 1. It can be seen that our speed is twice as fast as yours." Sect Master Yuan thought that Vice Director Xiaofu said this to show off. He couldn't help but feel that he was a little childish. He was too lazy to argue with him, so he said cooperatively, "The students of the upper and middle school are much stronger than those of the lower house, so their efficiency will naturally be higher." A trace of success flashed through Vice Director Xiaofu's eyes. "Since the difference in efficiency between our 2 sides is so great, then when we reach the fork in the road ahead tomorrow, your lower house will follow the side road to look for the lightning strike stone. Just leave the main road to us." Sect Master Yuan was stunned at first, but when he reacted, he could not help but burn with anger. There was a fork in the road dozens of miles ahead. The main road had dense lightning strike stone producing areas, while the lightning strike stone producing areas on the branch road were sparse. They could only encounter 1 place a day. If their luck was not good, they might not even encounter 1 place a day. Even a fool would know that they should take the main road. Moreover, even if both of them took the main road, it would not affect them. After all, there were so many resources on the main road. "Vice Sect Master Xiao, what do you mean? There are so many resources on the main road. Why do you want us to go to the branch road?" Sect Master Yuan asked coldly. Vice Sect Master Xiao said with slight mockery, "Sect Master Yuan, I don't mean anything by it. I just want to make the best use of it." The students of the upper house and the middle house had higher cultivations, so they deserved better opportunities for trials. They should not spend all their energy on traveling. As for the students of the lower house, their cultivations were not high. Traveling more would help them recover some of their strength and cultivation, so that they would not be powerless when they encountered demon beasts or danger. You also know that although we did not encounter any demon beasts along the way, we would encounter rare lightning-type demon beasts on the main road ahead. Not only will the students of the lower house not be able to help much, they will also have to divert the attention of the students of the upper house and the middle house to look after the students of the lower house. Not to mention other things, your team also has a fire spirit root at the 9th level of spirit extinguisher. With such a burden, it's better to take a side road. Sect Master Yuan's face was livid with anger. Deputy Sect Master Xiao was obviously twisting the facts. Sect Master Hao and the other lecturers of the middle school still did not express any opinions. It was obvious that they all followed Deputy Sect Master Xiaofu's lead. Sect Master Yuan knew that it was useless for him to argue even if he was alone. Moreover, if he forcefully went to the main road, there would inevitably be friction between the students. If this caused death or injury, it would be bad. He took a deep breath and after a long while, he squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. "All right. We will do as you say." Vice Sect Master Xiaofu revealed a smug expression and nodded. Sect Master Yuan is indeed wise. Well, meet here in half a month. Sect Master Yuan suppressed his anger and said, "All right, it's a deal." Chapter 56-72 Thick Skin was also a skill director. Xiaofu and Sect Master Yuan's conversation did not avoid the students, so everyone listened to most of it. Min Dai was so angry that she gritted her teeth and said in a low voice, "This deputy director Xiaofu is too much. Isn't this forcing us to take the side roads? Even if we think with our toes, the side roads are definitely much worse than the main roads." The others also echoed, "That's right." They seized 3 lightning strike producing areas during the day. It's obvious that they are targeting the lower house. That's right. If it weren't for Yan Qingcheng's cleverness, we would have fled in panic today. How did our lower house offend him? Is there a need to be so aggressive? I don't think that Vice Director Xiaofu is targeting the lower house. He seems to be targeting Sect Master Yuan instead. This is too much. He Xinjia's expression wasn't too good either. It was one thing for them to split up before, but now they were being chased to the side road. Wouldn't she have to absorb a lot less lightning? Damn it, why didn't Director Xiaofu die from the heavenly lightning? Boom! A purple heavenly lightning descended from the sky and struck Director Xiaofu. Director Xiaofu was feeling a little smug as he accepted the flattery of the other lecturers. Even in his dreams, he did not expect that a bolt of lightning would suddenly descend from the sky. Even though this was the Thunder Valley, there were still signs before the lightning descended. For example, Wuyun was covered in dark clouds or a strong wind was blowing. Therefore, Director Xiaofu was not prepared at all. This bolt of lightning really struck on Director Xiaofu's body. Fortunately, he had a lightning spirit root, so there was not much damage. It was just that smoke was coming from the strike. Seeing this, He Xinjiu kept muttering in her heart. 1 more. No, 100 more. Kill that bastard. However, the jinx skill failed again, and nothing unusual happened. He Xinjiu sighed in her heart. It seemed that it was really only effective when the unintentional curse was used. This skill was really strange. The few lecturers beside Director Xiaofu were also affected, and they all looked at the sky nervously. The bright moon hung in the sky and there were no clouds in the sky. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that the lightning just now was very strange. Vice Director Xiaofu was angry, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't scold the heavens, right? He didn't have the mood to listen to the lecturer's flattery. He crawled into his tent with a dirty look on his face. Sect Master Yuan and the students from the lower academy were very relieved. They felt that the heavens had opened their eyes and helped them vent their anger. Yun Chujiu listened to Min Dai and the others' gloating discussion, but she sighed in her heart. Could it be that they could only go to the side road? She pondered for a long time but couldn't think of any solution. If they went to the side road, then they could go to the side road. If they were lucky, they would be struck by lightning and have everything. The next morning, everyone set off. When they reached the fork in the road, the students from the upper house and the middle house arrogantly stepped onto the main road while the students from the lower house bitterly turned onto the side road. Min Dai and the others were all dejected. This trial had really dealt a huge blow to their confidence. Even though they could also enter the middle house in the future, the momentary psychological difference made it difficult for them to accept. Sect Master Yuan didn't say anything. The path of cultivation wasn't just about one's appearance and diligence, but also the courage to face setbacks. Thinking of this, Sect Master Yuan couldn't help but look at the carefree He Xinjiu. To a certain extent, this Yan Qingcheng was much stronger than these students, so being thick-skinned was also a kind of skill. Chapter 56-73 Thunderclap Poison Moth 4 hours later, the group arrived at the first lightning strike stone-producing area. Sect Master Yuan said to the group, other than the lightning-devouring mushroom, there are also lightning-type demon beasts here. However, the lightning-type demon beasts on the side roads are much weaker than the ones on the main roads. Even so, most of them are moon seal lightning-type demon beasts. You must act cautiously. Everyone's hearts trembled. Most of them were at the 7th to 9th level of the divine enlightenment realm. If they were to fight alone, they would not be a match for moon-type demon beasts, let alone rare lightning-type demon beasts. Therefore, they temporarily put aside their previous self-pity and raised their vigilance. Everyone followed the opening and walked for about 2 miles. Suddenly, the front was clear. There were some scorched black rocks scattered on the ground. They did not find any lightning-striking rocks, nor did they see any lightning-devouring mushrooms or lightning-type demon beasts. Everyone was suspicious. Could this be an abandoned lightning-striking rock production area? At this moment, Sect Master Yuan explained, this place is guarded by the lightning-devouring mushrooms and lightning-type demon beasts, so the lightning-striking rocks here are all hidden underground or in their nests. Everyone, don't be careless. Almost as soon as Sect Master Yuan finished speaking, countless large silver moths rushed towards them from the stone wall covered by weeds. These moths were about the size of a wash basin, and there was a red crescent mark on their heads. As they flapped their wings, silver lightning crackled. These are the Type 2 thunder poison moths with the moon mark. Everyone, be careful. Sect Master Yuan reminded. Although everyone was panicking, they had fought with the thunder-devouring mushroom before, so they immediately began to fight with the thunder poison moths. The thunder-eating poison moths attacked with silver arrows shot out from their wings. Moreover, the arrows were faintly glowing with blue light. It was obvious that they were poisonous. The thunder-eating poison moths were not allowed to fly in the Thunder Valley, so they were not too high up. Otherwise, they would be even harder to deal with. Even so, the crowd and the thunder-eating poison moths were still locked in a tight battle. At this moment, many thunder-eating mushrooms emerged from the ground. They waved their mycelium and joined the battle. The students of the lower house were at a disadvantage for a moment. They had to take into account the thunder-eating poisonous moth on top of their heads and also be careful of the mycelium of the thunder-eating mushrooms. They were a little flustered. Min Dai and the others were all new stewed. Their cultivation levels were already low, so they were even more flustered. Yun Chujiu shouted, form a circle. 4 people deal with the thunder-eating poisonous moth. 4 people deal with the thunder-eating mushrooms. I'll finish the job. Min Dai and the others were also desperate. When they heard Yun Chujiu's words, they did not have time to think too much and immediately followed her instructions. Needless to say, this way, the situation was indeed somewhat alleviated. In addition, He Xinjiu secretly added a small flame into the fireball. The few of them quickly killed a few thunder moth and thunder mushroom. When the other students saw this, they followed suit. As time passed, they gradually gained the upper hand. Sect Master Yuan stood at the periphery. He would only attack when he saw that a student's life was in danger. He spent most of the remaining time watching from the side. The thunder moth and the thunder mushroom did not dare to approach him when they felt the pressure from his body. Therefore, no matter if it was a human or a demon beast, they would always bully the weak and fear the strong. Xiao Lianping had been observing Yun Chujiu's position while fighting. He had a plan to guide his group to approach Yun Chujiu's group. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He deliberately provoked a thunder moth, which immediately shot several silver arrows at him. He dodged the silver arrows and the silver arrows shot towards Yun Chujiu. Chapter 56-74 She was going to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. Xiao Lianping sneered in his heart. At this moment, Yan Qingcheng's back was facing him. She was also a waste. Those silver arrows would definitely hit her. Those silver arrows were highly poisonous. Even if she did not die, she would at least be skinned alive. Even if she did not die, he would find another opportunity to send her on her way. Unfortunately, Yun Chujiu had already seen Xiao Lianping. Hence, when those silver arrows shot over, she deftly sidestepped to avoid the direction that those silver arrows would hit. However, she never expected that Min Dai just happened to dodge the mycelium of a thunder mushroom and leap towards her original position. Yun Chujiu subconsciously pushed Min Dai away. Although her speed was very fast, she was still hit by a silver arrow on her left shoulder. Min Dai was scared silly. Yun Chujiu shouted, "What are you standing there for? Continue to kill." Min Dai commanded the spirit beast to continue fighting while sobbing, You, that arrow is poisonous, poisonous. Yun Chujiu thought to herself, I am impervious to all poisons. This bit of poison is nothing. However, this fellow still forced out a head full of cold sweat. He gritted his teeth and said, As long as you are fine, this bit of poison is nothing. Min Dai immediately cried out, This poison will kill. You, Quickly go and find Sect Master Yuan to detoxify the poison. Quickly go. At this moment, Sect Master Yuan noticed the situation here. His expression immediately changed. He leaped over and carried Yun Chuzhou to the periphery of the battlefield. His expression was somewhat solemn. He took out a small porcelain bottle, poured out a black pill and a white pill, and said, "The white pill will stop the bleeding, and the black pill will dispel the poison. After you consume it, immediately meditate on the spot and force out the poison in your body. Quick! If you delay any longer, the poison gas will spread, and the consequences will be unimaginable." In fact, He Xinjiu, who had nothing to worry about, cooperatively swallowed the pill, and then began to meditate. Of course, the two pills naturally benefited Gowei Batsao. After He Xinjiu meditated, she began to pretend to expel the poison, and then her body stiffened. Sect Master Yuan had been observing her condition and quickly asked, "What's?" He Xinjiu grinned, "Nothing, it just hurts a little. Injuries and pain are inevitable. Quickly expel the poison." Sect Master Yuan could not help but shake his head and laugh. No matter how crafty this little girl was, she was just a little girl. Yun Chuzhou nodded, then closed her eyes and continued to meditate. At this time, a storm was raging in this guy's heart. Because she strangely discovered that after she was attacked by the silver arrow, the spiritual power in her body actually increased by a little bit. Although the increase in spiritual power was negligible, she was different from others. She could sense even the slightest increase in spiritual power. He Xinjia's mind was blank at first, then she was ecstatic. What did it mean? It meant that the thunder moth was the moving power of lightning. She only needed to be wounded by them to absorb the power of lightning from the attacks. Only the thunder moth's attacks were like that? Or could she absorb all the attacks of the thunder demon beasts? Then, what about those thunder-devouring mushrooms? What about the people with thunder spirit roots? If she could absorb all of them, would she worry about not having the power of thunder and lightning to absorb them? Oh my God, she was going to be rich. She was going to be rich. She was going to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. If it wasn't for the wrong occasion, if it wasn't for Sect Master Yuan standing next to her, she would definitely laugh 3 times and let those moths attack her with all their might. It would be best if they shot her into a sieve. Chapter 56-75, Sacrificing Oneself for Others. He Xinjiu was so excited that she was about to tremble. The thing that she was most worried about was the thunder famine. If her guess was true, wouldn't she find someone with thunder spirit root to fight in the future when she lacked thunder spirit energy? Wouldn't that be great? After a while, this fellow calmed down. She shouldn't be too blindly optimistic. It might just be a coincidence. She had to find an opportunity to let the moths shoot at her again. This fellow pretended to meditate for a while more before standing up. "Sect Master, I've forced out the remaining poison in my body. It's no longer a big deal." Sect Master Yuan was stunned. "You forced it out so quickly?" Yun Chuzhou nodded with certainty and even deliberately circled around the spot. "My physical fitness is good. Look, I'm really fine." Sect Master Yuan saw that she was in high spirits, so he believed her. He thought that God was indeed fair. This Yan Qingcheng's aptitude was average, but her physical fitness was not bad. At this moment, Sect Master Yuan's expression froze. He saw that a group of students were in danger. That group of students was not very lucky. The thunderclap moth that they were attacking was already on the verge of death. However, for some reason, the thunderclap moth's body suddenly shone brightly. It had actually advanced. Just as they were in a daze, the thunderbolt moth shot out several arrows, fanning itself towards them. The few of them weren't paying attention for a moment. Although they avoided most of the arrows, they were still injured by the arrows to varying degrees. The worst thing was that the thunderbolt moth was preparing for another attack. If they couldn't stop it in time, the lives of those students would be in danger. Sect Master Yuan was about to fly over when he saw a figure leap over faster than him. Moreover, He shouted loudly, "Don't be afraid. I'm coming to save you." Sect Master Yuan focused his eyes and saw that the person who flew over was Yan Qingcheng. He was angry and anxious. Wasn't this a joke? Was she going to throw her life away? Sect Master Yuan's figure flashed and quickly followed, but he was still a step too late. Yan Qingcheng made a perfect turn and blocked all the arrows released by the thunder moth with her own body. To be exact, she used her own body as a shield to help the few students block the arrows. The few students' faces were filled with shock. Even the thunder moth was stunned. There was actually such a stupid human in this world. At this time, Sect Master Yuan had already arrived. He slapped the thunder moth away with one palm and then brought the fainted Yun Chujiu and the other injured students to the outer area. The few students looked at He Xinjiu, who had been shot into a sieve, with C. They were in disbelief, guilt, gratitude, worry, and self-blame. They never thought that Yun Chujiu would sacrifice her life to save them. They often ridiculed her and mocked her. She actually disregarded her past grudges and sacrificed her life to save them. They were simply unworthy of being human. Sect Master Yuan sighed. In his opinion, Yun Chujiu's life was basically in danger. The external injuries caused by the lightning arrows were not a big deal, but the poison of the thunder moth was too powerful. Even with the detoxification pill, it was difficult to remove all the poison in her body. Sect Master Yuan was, after all, the head of a department. Although he sighed in his heart, he still arranged everything in an orderly manner. He threw the pills to the injured students to force the poison out after they consumed them. Then, he stuffed the pills into Yun Chujiu's mouth. Just as he was about to use his spiritual power to try and force the poison out of Yun Chujiu woke up. Chapter 56-76, What a kind girl, you're all okay. It's really, really great. He Xinjiu said with difficulty when she saw the injured students. Those students were so touched that they were about to cry. They had misunderstood Yan Qingcheng in the past. What a kind girl she was. She was about to lose her life, yet she still cared about their lives. They had let her down, they weren't human. They were worse than pigs and dogs. Sect Master Yuan was also shocked. It seemed that although this little girl was a little tricky, her nature was very kind. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sacrificed herself to save others time and time again. Previously, he had held a prejudice against her because of the failure of the lightning strike stone. It was really too inappropriate. However, what was the point of saying all this now? The little girl's life would probably be in danger. Yan Qingcheng, don't speak for now. Quickly use your spiritual power to expel the poison. Quick! Sect Master Yuan shouted sternly. Yun Chujiu immediately put on an act and began to expel the poison. This fellow was cursing himself in his heart, it's too fucking painful. I'm also an idiot. I was so focused on verifying whether the arrow would turn into lightning spiritual power that I forgot that this thing would hurt when shot on my body. It seems that this method is really out of tune. If I rely on this method to level up, I'll probably die from the pain. This is simply a self-torturing method. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I absolutely cannot use it. It really hurts to death. Moreover, the increase in the power of lightning is very limited. It's really not worth it. For the time being, I'll just obediently use Xiao Mogu to absorb the power of lightning. If I'm lucky, it'll be even better if a few heavenly lightning strikes. However, I should find an opportunity to verify whether the attacks of the other lightning-type demon beasts are the same, as well as the attacks of the lightning-devouring mushroom and the cultivators with lightning spiritual roots. Damn it, it's all that Vice Director Xaifa's fault. If I took the main path, I could absorb a lot more power of the lightning. Why didn't the lightning strike yesterday kill him? It's best if I use another bolt of lightning to make him bald. Sect Master Yuan had been nervously paying attention to Yun Chujiu's situation. When he saw that she was frowning and gnashing her teeth from time to time, he thought that she was in unbearable pain, and he couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Boom! At this moment, a purple heavenly lightning struck the ground from the distant sky. It seemed to be near the main path. Hei Shinjo was also shocked by the heavenly lightning and opened her eyes. Then, she closed them again, thinking to herself that 80% of H. What a terrible skill. This fellow could not help but feel sad. Her spiritual pets were all good-looking but useless, not to mention the 3 disgusting foodies in her dantian. It was not easy to unlock a skill that could solve thunder desolation, but she had to suffer physical pain. What kind of sin did she commit in her previous life? After 2 hours, the group finally killed all the thunder-devouring mushrooms and thunder-poison moths. Then, they began to pick up the thunder-striking stones. Hei Shinjo took advantage of Sect Master Yuan's lack of attention to release Xiao Mogu, and began to secretly absorb the power OT lightning hidden underground. However, what troubled Hei Shinjo was that since there were not many thunder-eating mushrooms in the place where the thunder-striking stone was produced, the power of lightning hidden underground was very limited. This fellow was a little worried. If this continued, wouldn't her gains become less and less? However, it wouldn't be good for her to openly fight with those students for the lightning strike stone. After all, she was so kind. Sect Master Yuan originally thought that Yun Chujo wouldn't be able to survive this time. However, he was pleasantly surprised to find that although her face was pale, her life didn't seem to be in danger. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief in his heart. Chapter 56-77, Help Me Up, I Can Still Save People. Due to Yun Chujia's heroic performance, everyone's attitude towards Yun Chujo had changed drastically. During the night camping, everyone came to visit, especially the few people who were saved by her. They were extremely grateful. Hei Shinjo said with difficulty, "We are classmates, how can we not save them? This is what I should do." Hearing that, everyone was immediately filled with respect. Looking at Yen Qingcheng's awareness, it was more than 1 level higher than theirs. They were really ashamed of their inferiority. After Hei Shinjo set up her good character, her eyes fell on Xiao Yanping, who had been secretly sizing her up. Very good. Wasn't it just borrowing beasts to kill people? She knew how to do it too. Let's wait and see. The next day, everyone continued on their journey. Because Hei Shinjo was seriously injured, she was carried on the soft bed. It was a great feeling. Not only did everyone have no objection to this, they even fought to carry the soft couch. Yen Qingcheng was willing to sacrifice herself to save her, so it was only right for them to do something. In the afternoon, everyone found another place where lightning-struck rocks were produced. Although there were no thunder moth here, there were thunder-devouring rats. They could shoot out several wind blades and burrow into the ground at any time. Then, they would launch an unexpected attack, making everyone miserable. Hei Shinjo, who was lying on the soft couch, saw that a student was in danger. This guy wanted to verify whether the thunder-devouring rat's attack could be used for his own use. Therefore, he jumped out of the soft couch and once again acted as a human shield. Everyone's admiration for her was like a torrential river. Yen Qingcheng was really too kind. She was already like this, yet she was still saving people. What kind of compassion was this? The reincarnation of Guanyin was only so. Hei Shinjo got her wish and was struck by the wind blade of the thunder-devouring rat. She realized that the lightning power contained in the wind blade could also be used for her own use. It was simply beautiful. Moreover, she realized that since the thunder-devouring rat was of a higher level than the thunder-poison moth, the lightning power contained in its attack was also much more. In this case, wouldn't she earn more if she was attacked by a higher-level thunder-type demonic beast? Therefore, when this fellow noticed that there was a thunder-devouring rat that was much larger in size, his eyes immediately lit up and he decided to verify his guess. Hence, this fellow once again flew over to save her, successfully causing her body to be covered in wounds. It was as miserable as it could be. Yun Chujo was once again carried back onto the soft couch. She said with difficulty, "Help me up, I can still save her." The people were so moved and shocked that words could not describe it. The scene of Yun Chujo bathing in blood and asking for battle was deeply engraved in their minds, and they would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Therefore, everyone immediately became full of fighting spirit and bravely killed the enemy. They burst out with amazing potential and actually killed all the thunder-eating mushrooms and thunder-eating rats in this place very quickly. Yun Chujo, was there a need to be so exaggerated? She had not even had the time to borrow the beasts to kill people. Was it over just like that? Alright then, Xiao Lianping would be lucky. Let him live another day. However, what Yun Chujo did not expect was that in the next 2 days, she would become the focus of protection. During every battle, Sect Master Yuan would send people to watch her so that she would not take the risk to save people. Not to mention finding a way to kill Xiao Lianping, she could not even release Xiao Mogu because those people stared at her with their eyes wide open, afraid that she would sacrifice herself for others. Hei Xinjiu asked the heavens speechlessly, did she suffer retribution? Chapter 5678, I can't just stand by and watch her die. Hei Xinjiu repeatedly promised that she would not be impulsive and save her again. Sect Master Yuan saw that although her face was a little pale, she was no longer in serious danger, so he removed the few students' supervision of her. Sect Master Yuan was also somewhat puzzled. Yan Qingcheng had been injured repeatedly. Although it was only superficial wounds, her recovery speed was indeed much faster than the average person. However, he did not think too much about it and attributed it to Yun Chuji's unique constitution. Yun Chujo looked at the battlefield and her gaze met with Xiao Lianping's. Xiao Lianping was rather depressed these few days. He had thought that Yun Chujo would die after being poisoned by the thunderclap poison moth. Who would have thought that not only did she not die, but she had also become a hero? He did not even have the chance to strike again. He was filled with hatred in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. He could only look for another opportunity. Yun Chujo saw the flash of viciousness in his eyes, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Was it not good to be alive? She had to court death. After another 2 days, under Yun Chuji's insistence, she joined the battle. Xiao Lianping's heart was filled with joy. The opportunity had come. He did the same thing. During the battle, he once again moved behind Yun Chujo, wanting to repeat the same trick. Xiao Lianping planned to anger a meerkat. When he dodged, the wind blades shot out by the meerkat would attack Yun Chuji's back. The level of this meerkat was higher than the previous thunder poison moth and thunder devouring rat. If all the wind blades hit Yun Chuji's life would be over. Xiao Lianping planned and did the same thing. However, when he dodged to the side, he stumbled and didn't dodge. Most of the wind blades shot out by the meerkat landed on his body. Moreover, he had deliberately provoked the meerkat. The meerkat pounced at him with a fierce look in its eyes. Xiao Lianping hurriedly raised his spiritual energy shield and commanded his spiritual beast to resist the meerkat. This way, he could hold on until Sect Master Yuan came to save him. At this moment, Yun Chujo turned her head and cried out in alarm, "Be careful. I'll save you." As he spoke, he threw out a huge fireball to attack the thunder mongoose. Unfortunately, his accuracy wasn't good. The fireball didn't hit the thunder mongoose, but it hit Xiao Lianping's spiritual beast instead. The fireball contained the flames of a small flame, which immediately knocked the spiritual beast back a few steps. Xiao Lianping was so angry that he was about to die. He cursed, "You bitch." In his anger, his spiritual power output was not stable. The thunder meerkat directly tore open his spiritual power shield with its claws and bit at his throat. Yun Chujo seemed to have finally reacted and exclaimed, "I can't just stand by and do nothing. I'll help you." "No, you said that you won't let me help you. Then, should I help you or not? It's really too complicated." Xiao Lianping almost died from anger. He used his last bit of strength to roll to the side, dodging the attack of the Thunder Fox Mongoose. Then, he was pleasantly surprised to see that Sect Master Yuan had already jumped over. His heart relaxed. As long as Sect Master Yuan made a move, he would be saved. However, he saw Yun Chujiu grab Sect Master Yuan. Sect Master, Xiao Lianping said that he doesn't need anyone to save him. I think he wants to die and survive. He wants to stimulate his potential at a critical moment. Please don't make a move first. Xiao Lianping was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He was about to beg Sect Master Yuan to save him when the Thunder Mongoose pounced on him. Its sharp teeth bit his throat. Chapter 56-79, Loss of Contact. Seeing this, Sect Master Yuan hurriedly struck out with his palm, sending the Thunder Meerkat flying. However, the Thunder Meerkat's teeth were extremely sharp, and Xiao Lianping couldn't be any more dead. The corners of his eyes were wide open in anger, filled with resentment and unwillingness. Yun Chujiu slapped her thigh. Heavens! This Xiao Lianping is playing too much. Even if he wants to stimulate his potential, he has to do it within his means. He actually didn't let anyone save him. This is great, his little life is at Sect Master Yuan. Some of the students saw the entire process, but no one raised any objections. Yan Qingqing was so kind to want to save him, but he himself said that there was no need, so he couldn't blame anyone else. Sect Master Yuan wasn't stupid, so he naturally could see that Yun Chujiu was doing this on purpose. He recalled the incident in the cultivation room and the incident with the thunderclap moth a few days ago. It was no wonder that Yan Qingqing hated this Xiao Lianping. Moreover, it was obvious that Xiao Lianping was trying to harm himself instead of others. He deserved it. Therefore, Sect Master Yuan pretended not to notice Yun Chujiu's intention and said indifferently, yes, he was too strong-willed and gave up his life in vain. Sect Master Yuan's words determined this matter. Xiao Lianping's death was entirely his own fault and had nothing to do with others. In the next few days, there was no danger. Although some students in the lower house were injured, no one lost their lives. Although they didn't find many lightning strike stones, everyone was still satisfied. Of course, some people were very dissatisfied, such as He Xinjiu. The further they went, the fewer the number of lightning-devouring mushrooms and the corresponding amount of lightning spiritual force underground. This fellow could only watch as others picked up the lightning strike stones. She was so envious and jealous that she was about to be angered. However, there was nothing she could do. She could only curse Deputy Director Xiaofu to be struck by lightning when she had nothing to do. Not to mention, she would occasionally accidentally curse him a few times, and it really succeeded. Sect Master Yuan was puzzled. He had heard that the scale of the heavenly lightning in this Thunder Valley was relatively large every time. Why were there always sporadic heavenly lightning strikes recently? It was really strange. Seeing that the promised half-month period was almost up, Sect Master Yuan led everyone back to the fork in the road. However, the promised day had passed, but there was no sign of Vice Director Xiaofu and the others. During this period, Sect Master Yuan had sent a voice transmission talisman to Sect Master Hao of the Middle Courtyard, but he was surprised to find that it had not been sent successfully. Another day had passed, but there was still no news from the upper and middle courtyards. Sect Master Yuan tried to contact Vice Director Xiaofu and the others through the others from the academy, but they were unsuccessful. Sect Master Yuan was in a difficult position. Although some things had happened previously, he was still a member of the academy, so he couldn't just stand by and watch them die. However, even Vice Director Xiaofu and the others were in danger. If he brought the students from the lower house with him, wouldn't he be like a sheep in the tiger's mouth? He had wasted the lives of these people. Of course, they could also wait for the academy to send people to rescue them, but this would delay them for a few days. Far water could not quench the thirst. Sect Master Yuan was in a dilemma and finally made a decision. I have reported this matter to the academy. The people who will pick us up will arrive in 4 days. You should return to the shallows immediately and wait. The people of the academy will escort you back to the academy safely. Hearing this, everyone immediately asked, "What about you, Sect Master?" Sect Master Yuan took a deep breath and said, "I will go and check out the situation ahead. Maybe I can get some useful information." Everyone did not want Sect Master Yuan to be in danger. After all, it was Vice Director Xiaofu who forced them to the side road. Now he had to risk his life to save them. Why? Chapter 5680. Although everyone thought so, they knew that since Sect Master Yuan had already said so, it meant that he had already made a decision. There was no point in saying anything. They could only reluctantly return to the shallows under the lead of a few group leaders. Watching the students leave, Sect Master Yuan took a deep breath and walked toward the main road. On the other side, He Xinjiu walked with the crowd for a while. She blinked her eyes and said, "You guys keep walking. I'll go find Sect Master Yuan." The crowd naturally did not agree. They tried to persuade her, "Yanqingcheng, although you mean well, it's too dangerous. You can't go." "Yes, it's not that I don't like your words. Your cultivation is too low. If you go, you'll only cause trouble for Sect Master Yuan. You'd better follow us obediently." Yun Chuzhou saw that everyone had a strong feeling that if she had to go, she would be tied up. She could only pretend to be convinced. "Alright, then I'll listen to you guys." This fellow couldn't help but feel sad in her heart. Sigh, sometimes it was also bad to have a kind person set up too well. If it was in the past, no one would care about her life and death, allowing her to chase after Sect Master Yuan. When everyone saw that she had given up on the idea, they continued on their journey. However, at dawn the next day, everyone was stunned to find that Yun Chuzhou had disappeared without a trace. Instead, she left a note, "I'll go and help Sect Master Yuan. Don't worry, I'll be fine. See you later." Everyone was dumbfounded and could only send a voice transmission talisman to Sect Master Yuan. Sect Master Yuan told them to return to the shallows according to their original plan. He would take care of Yan Qingcheng's matter. On the other side, He Xinjiu left the camp in the dark. She rode the giant rabbit and dashed towards the main road. Of course, this fellow was not trying to save her out of good intentions. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to get more power of lightning. It was an opportunity that could not be missed. It was rare for her to come out. If she did not get enough, wouldn't she lose her life? As for the dangers, this fellow didn't care about them at all. Didn't Director Xiaofu say that the greatest dangers here were the lightning-type demon beasts and heavenly lightning? What a joke! Not only were these things not dangerous to her, they were also supplements. The kind that was extremely nutritious. However, she was soon tired. This fellow told the giant rabbit to continue on its journey while she lay on its back and slept soundly. While she was sleeping soundly, the giant rabbit let out a hurried cry. Yun Chuzhou reluctantly opened her eyes. A blue light flashed in front of her, and a demonic beast that looked somewhat like a wolf blocked her way. There was a red moon-shaped mark between its brows, and its eyes were emitting a deep blue light. She didn't know what level it was exactly. Yun Chujia's face was a little gloomy. There was nothing she could do. She had been getting up quite badly recently. She said coldly, "Get lost. If you don't get lost, PLL kill you." The demon wolf felt that the little girl in front of it was most likely stupid. Did she not know what was going on? How dare she talk to it like that? She was really courting death. The demon wolf opened its bloody mouth and shot out several silver wind blades towards Yun Chujia's face. Yun Chuzhou immediately used her spiritual energy shield to protect herself and the giant rabbit, blocking the wind blades. She jumped off the rabbit's back and put the giant rabbit into her spiritual beast bag, smiling faintly. "You asked for it. Today, I'll show you what a real thunder spirit root is." Yun Chuzhou raised her hand as she spoke, and several purple lightning bolts shot towards the demon wolf. The demon wolf was obviously shocked by the purple lightning bolts. Chapter 5681, Wolf Howl Purple. This wretched girl has a heavenly thunder spirit root. The demon wolf was stunned at first, then it was ecstatic. If it ate this wretched girl with a heavenly thunder spirit root, it might be of great benefit to its cultivation. Although this little girl had a heavenly thunder spirit root, her cultivation could not be compared to it at all. It would be able to kill her very soon. The demon wolf let out an arrogant roar, and then it pounced towards Yun Chuzhou. Normally, Yun Chuzhou would have released the Gowei Batsao and the other dumb cuties to help. However, this fellow was now enveloped by the anger of waking up. His entire body was filled with hostility and he decided to attack by himself. She held the large kitchen knife and charged straight towards the demon wolf. She allowed the silver wind blade that it shot to hit her body, but she did not dodge. Even though she was drenched in blood, it did not slow her speed. The demon wolf was freaking out. Was this human girl a lunatic? Why didn't she dodge her attack? Furthermore, according to common sense, she should have died a long time ago after being hit by so many silver wind blades. Why was she still alive and kicking? The demon wolf was too shocked. It did not even think of dodging and one of its ears was cut off by Yun Chuzhou. The demon wolf cried out in pain and attacked Yun Chuzhou crazily. However, Yun Chuzhou didn't dodge at all and let it attack. She waved her big kitchen knife and slashed continuously. Fuck. I told you to stop me from sleeping. I'll chop you to death. Why didn't you sleep at night? Why did you come out to be a demon? Why did you come here to die? You're a lightning-type demon beast, so what? Pooey. You're a fake. No, you're a defective product. What are you shouting for? You're howling like a wolf, and you still have the nerve to come out and embarrass yourself. The demon wolf, it was howling like a wolf to begin with, alright? The demon wolf's heart was very miserable. If it was logical, this wretched girl would have died a long time ago after being attacked by it so many times, but why was she still so valiant as to raise that broken kitchen knife and chase after it? Very quickly, the demon wolf gave up on attacking and focused on escaping. Damn it, you interrupted my sleep, and you want to run away like this? No way. Don't you know how to spray wind blades? Spit it out. If you don't spit it out, you're a dog. The demon wolf thought to itself, even if it was called a pig, it would still accept it. If it encountered such a pervert, wouldn't it be waiting for death if it didn't run? The demon wolf ran as fast as it could while Yun Chuzhou chased after it with a large kitchen knife in hand. At this moment, there were several howls coming from the front. The demon wolf was delighted. Its companion had AR. A smug look flashed across the demon wolf's eyes. It didn't believe that this smelly girl wasn't afraid of attacks at all. She must have gritted her teeth and endured it just now. Pitch, smelly girl, let's see how you can show off this time. Soon, 5 demon wolves came running from afar. Yun Chuzhou narrowed her eyes. She was already covered in injuries. It would still hurt for a while, but it would also hurt for 2 hours. She would take the opportunity to absorb more of the power of lightning. Therefore, not only did she not retreat, she charged towards the wolf pack while howling. The 5 wolves that followed were all dumbfounded. This was a crazy woman, right? Shouldn't normal people just turn around and run? Why did she come to their doorstep? The demonic wolf from before let out an impatient howl. The other 5 demonic wolves finally regained their senses and shot silver wind blades at Yun Chuzhou one after another. Yun Chuzhou simply stopped where she was and said to them, "Come, come. I'll let you guys attack as you wish. Whoever admits defeat first will be a turtle bastard." Chapter 5682 Admitting defeat. The 6 demonic wolves' tempers flared up as well. Io, who doesn't have any self-respect? Even wolves have to be shameless. Who's going to admit defeat first? Tui. They only needed to blink their eyes to chop this smelly girl to death. Since she was courting death, then let her have it. Release the wind blades and cut her into 1,000 pieces. Therefore, the 6 demon wolves desperately sprayed the wind blades at Yunchujo. Hei Shinjo only protected the vital parts of her body. They could attack the rest of her body at will. After all, the Guai Chao could heal her wounds in no time. After a while, Hei Shinjo said kindly, "It's too inefficient for you to only attack one side. Come, surround me and attack me at a 360-degree angle. That way, you can chop me to death sooner." The 6 demonic wolves were furious, but they still formed a circle and shot out wind blades with all their might. They were sure that this brat would not be able to hold on for long. However, an hour later, even though Yunchuji's clothes were soaked in blood, she was still standing calmly in the middle. Not only did she not die, she was even more energetic. "You guys should use more strength. Are you all sheep in wolf skin? You are so useless," Yunchujo said while eating melon seeds. Wolves could be killed but not humiliated. They were bullying the wolves. The 6 demon wolves immediately used all their strength and continued to shoot wind blades while howling. However, after another 15 minutes, the 6 demon wolves were so tired that they were panting. Their legs were a little weak and they almost collapsed on the ground. On the other hand, the little girl who was surrounded by them was even more lively. Her eyes were so bright that they were almost shoulder to shoulder with the stars in the sky. The 6 demon wolves wanted to cry, but they had no tears. What kind of pervert had they encountered? How could there be such a heaven-defying pervert in this world? "Hey, don't stop. Keep spraying. I'm waiting. Anyway, these clothes are dirty, don't waste them. Hurry up, keep spraying." The 6 demon wolves looked at each other. There was no need to waste time on this pervert. Retreat. They were dreaming. They could only run 2 steps when they were blocked by a giant Goeibatsao. Goeibatsao wrapped the 6 demon wolves with its leaves and threw them in front of Yunchujo. Normally, Goeibatsao would not be so easy to get. However, the 6 demon wolves had used up all their spiritual power, so they could not fight back. Yunchujo held the large kitchen knife and sneered. "If you want to spray it, then spray it. If you don't want to spray it, then don't spray it. In your dreams. Spray it all. If anyone doesn't spray it, PLL kill." The 6 demonic wolves were almost regretting their actions, especially the 5 that came later. They hated the previous wolf. Since they knew that this stupid girl was so perverted, why didn't they tell them? That demonic wolf was also aggrieved. Who knew that this brat was so perverted? If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have provoked her, alright? Moreover, was there any use in saying all this now? It was better to continue spraying wind blades. Thus, under Hei Xinjia's coercion, the 6 demonic wolves continued spraying wind blades. They felt that in the future, they would have a shadow over the spraying wind blades. This was using their lives to shoot wind blades. In the end, the 6 demonic wolves rolled their eyes and passed out while foaming at the mouth. Yunchujo took out a basin of cold water and splashed them awake. "Continue to shoot." The 6 demonic wolves kneeled on the ground at the same time. They admitted defeat. They were turtle bastards. Let them go. Chapter 5683 How terrifying it was to be uncultured. Yunchujo looked at the 6 demonic wolves kneeling on the ground, and a smile blossomed on her face that the 6 demonic wolves would never forget. That smile made the 6 demonic wolves tremble, and it made them tremble from the bottom of their bones. It was terrifying, too terrifying. The woman who was covered in blood was like an Azura from hell. No, a demon. A female demon. This wretched girl must have thought of some evil plan to torture them. Could they still see the sun tomorrow? You interrupted my sleep and slashed me so miserably. Shouldn't you compensate me? Yunchujo said with a cold smile. The 6 demon wolves were filled with hatred. You interrupted my sleep and cut me so miserably. Wouldn't it hurt her conscience to say that? How tired were they to chop her up? They were clearly the victims. I'll give you two choices. One is to die, and the other is to sign a temporary contract with me. Which one do you choose? The 6 demon wolves, there was clearly only one choice, all right? However, their eyes flashed with a strange light. This wretched girl was only at the 9th level of spirit extinguisher. They were demonic beasts at the 4th level of the moon seal. Their spiritual sense was stronger than hers by a bit. They wanted to establish a temporary contract with them. Very soon, she would know what it meant to throw a stone at her own feet. It meant that she had overestimated herself. When the time came, they would give her a backlash and kill her. Yun Chujo naturally did not miss the cunning in the eyes of the 6 demonic wolves. There was only one thought in her mind. Uncultured, how terrifying. 1 year, come over. I'll establish a temporary contract with you first, Yun Chujo said to the demon wolf that had one ear cut off by her. The freshly baked one ear forcefully suppressed its hatred and crawled in front of Yun Chujo. It wanted to stand up, but unfortunately, it had the heart but was powerless. Yun Chujo first established a spiritual connection with one ear, and then began to establish a temporary contract with it. One ear's eyes flickered. The opportunity to turn defeat into victory, to take revenge, and to avenge its previous humiliation was coming. However, when it established a temporary contract with Yun Chujo, it felt a huge suppression from its spiritual sense, and it almost spat out a mouthful of wolf blood. Backlash my ass. Its little spiritual sense was like a small raindrop falling into the sea, and it still wanted to retaliate. It was simply overestimating its own ability. After one ear realized this, it immediately threw its wild ambition to the back of its mind and crawled to the side to play dead. The other 5 demon wolves were instantly enraged. This idiot! Where was the backlash that was agreed upon? Why didn't it do anything? What a waste! Yun Chujo glanced at the 5 demon wolves and yawned, let's do it together, so as to not waste time. She had contracted an ear just to be on the safe side. Now that she saw that it wasn't difficult, she said so. But the 5 demonic wolves didn't know that. They laughed wildly in their hearts. It seemed that one ear was deliberately pretending to be timid to lower her vigilance. They didn't expect that one ear was actually quite smart. The 5 demonic wolves looked at each other and then crawled in front of Yun Chujo. Then, there was no then. The 5 demon wolves obediently lay beside one ear. It was not that they were too cowardly, but that the other party was too abnormal. Yun Chujo glanced at them and asked, where is your nest? One ear drooped its head and said, our nest was destroyed by you humans, and the lightning stones inside were also taken away. It was not easy for us to escape. Chapter 5684 Deserved to be struck by lightning. Another demon wolf said with some lingering fear, those people wanted to kill us all. Fortunately, the leader was unlucky enough to be struck by lightning, so we took advantage of the chaos to escape. The other demon wolves echoed, it must be God's blessing that allowed us to escape. Otherwise, we definitely wouldn't have survived. Yeah, that heavenly lightning strike came at the right time. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in a hurry to escape, I would really like to see what kind of state he was in. These vicious humans came to compete with us for the lightning strike stone for no reason. They deserve to be struck by lightning. That's right. It's best if all the humans are struck to death by the heavenly lightning, lest they shamelessly come to snatch our lightning strike stone. Just as the few demon wolves were having a lively conversation, they suddenly realized that they had said something wrong. This stinky girl in front of them was also a human. Didn't they scold her too? After realizing this, the 6 demon wolves immediately started to tremble. Yun Chujo glanced at them. You guys said that I deserve to be struck by lightning? The 6 demon wolves were shaking so much that they were about to turn into sieves. It was over. It was over. They definitely wouldn't be able to see the sun tomorrow. Well said. I deserve to be struck by lightning. The heavens should send down lightning to kill me. You guys are very good at talking. PM very satisfied. Yun Chujo said with a smile. The 6 demon wolves. Is this brat crazy? Yun Chujo yawned. Have the lightning strike stones nearby been plundered by those people from before? One of the ears came back to his senses and quickly said, yes, not only did they plunder the lightning strike stones, but they also killed all the monsters guarding them. As a result, we have been starving for several days. That's why we came here to hunt. Yun Chujo thought of the disappearance of Director Xiaofu and the others and asked, where did those people go after that? Why haven't they returned? An expression of schadenfreude flashed across one of her ears. If PM not wrong, those people must have gone to the Cave of Death. There is no return from the Cave of Death. Once they enter, they will definitely die. Cave of Death. No one had ever mentioned that there was a Cave of Death in the Thunder Valley. One of her ears seemed to have noticed Yun Chuji's confusion and explained that Cave of Death was formed a few months ago. There were scattered thunderstones at the entrance of the cave, and faint crackling sounds could be heard from inside. Many demon beasts had guessed that there would be a large number of lightning stones inside, so they fought to enter the cave. However, until now, not a single demon beast had come out, and no demon beasts dared to enter after that. This was also the reason why the humans had been able to pass through unimpeded. If not for the fact that most of the demon beasts had entered the Cave of Death, they definitely wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. Humph, those humans are insatiable. They must have all entered the Death Cave. They deserve to die in there. Yun Chujo did not have a good impression of Director Xiaofu and the others. Therefore, even though she knew that they had entered the Death Cave, she did not plan to save them. She was not a good person. What this fellow was concerned about was how to get more power of lightning. Although the lightning strike stones had been picked up by Director Xiaofu and the others, there might still be residual power of lightning underground. Even the legs of a mosquito were meat. He Xinjiu yawned. You should know where the lightning stone is produced along the way, right? Take me in to have a look. Maybe I can find something. One ear twitched his mouth. Those people picked it up very carefully. How could there be anything missing? You'd better not waste your effort. Chapter 5685 or not. Yun Chujo glanced at one of her ears. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You still want to spray wind blades, don't you? One of her ears immediately trembled. Master, you are right. There will definitely be some who slip through the net. We will bring you to look for them now. Yun Chujo curled her lips. Demon beasts were born with the ability to act according to the wind. There was no need to train them. She saw that there was still some time before daybreak, so she threw some demonic beast meat to the 6 demonic wolves to replenish their strength. Then, she took out the omnipotent small tent to sleep. Although the 6 demonic wolves felt that the level of the demonic beast meat that Yun Chujo threw to them was too low, they were already starving. No matter what, it was more important to fill their stomachs first. Yun Chujo slept until daybreak. She stretched and walked out of the small tent. The 6 demon wolves had recovered their strength and spiritual power, but when they saw He Xinjiu, their legs went weak subconsciously. Yun Chujo ate some simple food and threw a lot of demon beast meat to the 6 demon wolves before continuing her journey. However, this time, He Xinjiu did not ride the giant rabbit, but rode the wolf instead. Soon, they arrived at a place where lightning-struck rocks were produced. There were still traces of blood on the ground, and it was impossible to tell if it was human or demon beast blood. There were many pits dug on the ground. It must have been caused by Director Xiaofu and the others to pick up the lightning stone. One ear used its claws to pull a few times and said, "It's all taken away. There's nothing left." Yun Chujo ignored it and directly released Xiao Mogu. Xiao Mogu's mycelium quickly spread underground. It really found some of the lightning power stored in the lightning mushroom and even found a few lightning stone. The 6 demon wolves were all dumbfounded. No wonder this stupid girl was so sure that she could pick up something. It turned out that she had this strange Xiaomogu. However, wasn't she afraid that the stored power of lightning would be too violent? Did she dare to directly absorb it? The 6 demon wolves immediately recalled the unbearable memories from last night. It was also true that she was a pervert. Even if she could absorb the power of lightning, it would be normal, right? The lightning stone producing areas on the main road were very dense. Although there were times when she missed, Yun Chuzhou still had some gains. She was simply happy. It was also because she had been picking up scraps from the various lightning stone producing areas that she missed Sect Master Yuan, who had turned around to look for her. Sect Master Yuan saw that he could not find her, so he could only continue to turn around to look for Deputy Director Xiaofu and the others. He Xinzhou picked up some scraps along the way and arrived near the legendary Cave of Death. The 6 demon wolves were afraid that she would seek her own death, so they tried to persuade her not to think too hard and not to go into the Cave of Death. He Xinzhou could not help but laugh. She had not intended to go in, so what were they worried about? Director Xiaofu and so many others were trapped inside, what could she do by herself? Besides, if she counted the days, the reinforcements from the 10 Directions Academy would arrive by tomorrow at the latest. There was no need for her to take the risk. Just as Yun Chuzhou was about to turn around and leave, a scream came from the Cave of Death. Yun Chuzhou stopped in her tracks. The voice seemed to be the voice of Sect Master Yuan. If it was anyone else, she could pretend not to hear it. However, although Sect Master Yuan used to hold a grudge against her, he had been treating her well recently. Did he care or not? This fellow finally sighed and walked towards the Cave of Death. The 6 demon wolves were about to cry. What happened to not going in? What happened to cherishing life? They did not want to go in, but now that they had established a temporary contract with Yun Chuzhou, they could only shiver and follow behind Yun Chuzhou. Chapter 5686. No way. The 6 demonic wolves were so regretful that their intestines were turning green. If they could turn back time, they would not have provoked this wretched girl. If they were to enter the death cave, how could they survive? Yun Chuzhou ignored the resentful gaze that came from behind her. As she walked forward, she sized up the so-called death cave. The scene inside the cave was really different from the so-called death cave. Although the sunlight could not shine in, there was a faint, magnificent light that was emitted from the rocks on the cave walls. The 6 demon wolves were even more afraid. The experience of their ancestors told them that the more beautiful something was, the more dangerous it was. This death cave was really too terrifying. They didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but they vaguely heard the sound of liquid dripping. One of their ears trembled as they used their divine sense to say, "Master, did you hear any strange sounds? Maybe it was the sound of blood dripping." "Woo woo, it's too terrifying. Master, let's go out." The person who asked for help had lost his voice. He must be dead. If the wolf doesn't do it for himself, heaven and earth will destroy him. Don't worry about him. Yun Chuzhou didn't stop walking. If he's alive, we'll see him. If he's dead, we'll see his corpse. There was no choice. The 6 demon wolves had no choice but to follow her. Suddenly, an ear said in surprise, "Look! The top of the cave in front. This. The roof of the cave was like the sky outside, with blue sky and white clouds. It was very realistic. If she didn't know that she was in the Cave of Death, she would have thought that it was really the sky. Yun Chuzhou originally thought that the blue sky and white clouds were formed by a formation. After taking a closer look, she actually found that it was a natural pattern formed by the rocks on the roof of the cave. It could be said that it was a work of art. After walking for a while, she finally knew the origin of the sound of the liquid dripping. The pattern at the top of the cave in front of her changed from blue sky and white clouds to dark clouds. There were also sparse drops of water falling from the top of the cave, just like a drizzle. However, after the raindrops fell to the ground, they were almost instantly absorbed by the stone slabs on the ground, which made people feel very strange. The 6 demon wolves could not help but stop in their tracks. The water must be poisonous. We can't go over. If we go over, we will be corroded into blood. Master, forget it. We have walked so far and still haven't seen anyone. They must be dead. Let's go back. Yes, Master. Let's go and pick up the leftovers. It's too scary inside. Yun Chujo was speechless. These 6 fellows were even more timid than rabbits. How did they survive until now? Actually, it was not the fault of these 6 demonic wolves. The main reason was that many demonic beasts had entered this death cave and did not leave. If they were not afraid, they would have seen a ghost. Yun Chujo put the 6 demonic wolves into her spiritual beast bag. Then, she propped up her spiritual energy barrier and walked over unhurriedly. The biggest threat of the rain was nothing more than poison. This point was negligible to her. At this moment, Goei Butsao suddenly took control of her body and said, "Grandmother, this liquid is good stuff. Let me drink enough before I leave." Yun Chujo, you should give up on this idea. Yun Chujo naturally wouldn't waste any time here, so she mercilessly rejected Goei Bukao's request. It won't take long. If that sect master Yuan was going to die, he would have died a long time ago. If he wasn't dead, it wouldn't have taken much longer. Use your kitchen knife to cut a hole there, and it'll soon be full. No way. Chapter 5687, Opening the window. Goei Butsao rolled her eyes. You don't want to have sex anymore? Think about that fiend's figure. Aren't you afraid that you'll let other coquettish bitches get away with it? Open the window. Goei Butsao. This black-hearted bitch was even more perverted than it was. It was only pursuing a beautiful spiritual exchange, but she was good. She only wanted to have sex all day long. Pervert. Of course, Goei Butsao would not say these words out loud, so it quickly returned its body to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo jumped up with a large kitchen knife and slashed at the spot where Goei Ba was pointing, and then there was liquid flowing down. Yun Chujo raised her head and drank all the liquid. In fact, there was not much in total. She did not know if it was Yun Chujo's misconception, but she felt the ground tremble. After passing through this rain area, Yun Chujo released the 6 demon wolves and continued on her journey. The 6 demon wolves were exceptionally obedient with their tails tucked between their legs, because they had seen the scene just now in the spiritual beast bag. Although they did not know the existence of the Guai Chao, the way Yun Chujo talked to herself just now, even a fool would be able to tell that it was very strange. Moreover, she actually drank all the liquid. It was really too scary. However, this fear quickly turned into excitement. Because not long after they walked out, they heard a crackling sound. In the distance, there were many thunderstones scattered on the ground. Master, we're rich. Ha! Master is still wise. This death cave isn't that scary. Yes, so we are right to listen to Master. We have meat to eat and lightning stones to take with Master. It is so wonderful. No wonder Master insisted on entering the cave of death. She knew that there were lightning stones in here. Yun Chujo was speechless at these flatterers. Perhaps they could survive until now because of their flattery skills. As the 6 demon wolves spoke, they dashed forward, wishing that they could keep all the thunderstones. If you want to die, then go and pick them up, Yun Chujo said lightly. The 6 demon wolves were stunned on the spot. What did she mean? Are you idiots? If there was no problem with the thunderstones, would you still be here to pick them up? Although the 6 demon wolves were displeased that they were called idiots, they thought about it and felt that Yun Chuji's words made sense. There were so many demon beasts and humans who came in earlier, and they were not blind. There was no reason for them not to pick up the thunderstones. Master, then what should we do? Walk over and pretend that you didn't see those lightning strike stones. If any of you want to die, then go and pie. The 6 demon wolves had one advantage, and that was that they were tactful and immediately agreed obediently. However, when they passed by those lightning strike stones, each and every one of them felt so much pain that they were about to twitch. Following that, they encountered a few similar situations in succession. Moreover, the more lightning strike stones there were, the more the 6 demon wolves felt itchy. There were a few times when they wanted to reach out their claws to pick up the lightning-struck rocks. However, when they thought about it, they realized that even the pervert in front did not dare to pick up the lightning-struck rocks. It was better for them to not take the risk. After turning another corner, the scene in front of them changed again. The ceiling of the cave became the night sky. It was filled with stars. It was as realistic as the night sky. If there was a difference, there was one. There was no moon in the night sky. There were only stars. One of the ears mumbled, "The owner of this cave is really interesting. If you want to see the blue sky, white clouds, and stars, go outside. Why do you have to do all this in your own cave? Isn't it troublesome?" Chapter 5688, I have the fire spirit root. Yun Chujo stopped in her tracks. A faint light flashed in her eyes. The reason is naturally very simple. He can't get out. One of the ears was just casually saying it. Hearing Yun Chuji's words, it immediately shivered. Then we'd better not go in. That thing must be very powerful. As soon as one of the ears finished speaking, a huge suction force came from the depths of the cave. Yun Chujo and the 6 demon wolves were sucked into the depths of the cave. The 6 demon wolves immediately let out a miserable cry. It wasn't because they were in much pain, but because they were afraid. They felt that they were definitely going to die this time. Yun Chujo also gave a few symbolic shouts. She didn't know the other party's strength, so playing the pig to eat the tiger was a good choice. The 6 demon wolves and Yun Chujo fell to the ground in a sorry state. When they looked closely, they realized that this was an extremely spacious stone hall. Half of the cave's ceiling was blue sky and white clouds, while the other half was filled with stars. There was still no sun or moon. The surroundings were a circle of cages. There were many demon beasts and many cultivators locked inside. Among them were Vice Director Xiaofu, Sect Master Yuan, and the others. However, regardless of whether it was the demon beasts or the cultivators, they were all injured to varying degrees. Moreover, their eyes were red. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem normal. At this moment, an old man with a cold expression walked out of nowhere. He laughed strangely as he sized up Yun Chujo and the 6 demonic wolves. The 6 demonic wolves were frightened by the cold aura that he emitted, and they trembled in fear. They hid behind Yun Chujo without a care in the world. As Yun Chuji's small body was too small, the 6 demonic wolves automatically lined up in a row. Yun Chujo. The old man was obviously stunned as well. He sized up Yun Chujo and asked, "Are these thunder beast wolves your spiritual pets? How did you tame?" Yun Chujo shivered and said, "They fainted from hunger by the roadside, so I took the opportunity to establish a temporary contract with them. After they woke up, they wanted to bite back, but because I could provide them with food, they followed me." The 6 demon wolves. They sounded like good-for-nothings. They were obviously forced to do this, all right? The old man smiled noncommittally. No matter how you subdued them, it's not important. What's important is that I happen to lack a human with a thunder spirit root and 6 thunder-type demon beasts to cultivate the great art. You guys came at the right time. The 6 demon wolves almost cried when they heard that. They said that they couldn't come in. Now, they were just there to make up the numbers. They were dead. Was it too late to regret now? Yun Chuji's small face was pale. She asked with a trembling voice, What great art? I don't want to die yet." One ear was a little suspicious. Wasn't this female devil very arrogant? Why was she suddenly like a little sheep? Could it be that she was brewing some bad idea? The old man laughed evilly. Don't you want to die? It's your honor to be able to contribute to my escape. If it wasn't for me wanting to find someone to share the joy of success, you would have been locked in a cage by now. Yun Chujo shivered even more. I am willing to help. But I don't want to die. As long as you don't kill me, I can do whatever you want me to do. I can go out and help you catch others. The old man sneered. Even if you don't want to die, you have to die. I've waited for over 10,000 years. I don't want to wait any longer. But I have a fire spirit root. It's useless for you to catch me. The old man. Chapter 5689. What kind of spirit root was she? Aren't you a thunder spirit root? Aren't all the cultivators here all thunder spirit roots? How can you not be a thunder spirit root? The old man asked suspiciously. Yun Chujo shrugged her shoulders and waved her hand to release a fireball. I really am a fire spirit root. If you don't believe me, you can ask the people in the cage. They all know. The 6 demon wolves cursed in their hearts. Fire spirit root? Io, this female devil didn't even blink when she lied. Not only was she a thunder spirit root, but she also had a heavenly thunder spirit root. Of course, they weren't stupid wolves, so they naturally wouldn't say it out loud. The old man frowned. If he was at his peak, he would be able to see through her spirit root without her using her spirit energy to attack. However, he had been trapped for so long that he no longer had such an ability. Was this little girl really a fire spirit root? With a wave of his hand, he pulled out an upper academy student from the cage. He did not know how he did it, but the redness in the student's eyes disappeared. The student was stunned for a moment before he started trembling in fear. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Please let me go. The old man said lightly, it's not difficult to let you go. Tell me, what kind of spiritual root is this little girl? The student only saw Yun Chujo and the 6 demonic wolves now. Although he didn't know why the old man would ask this, he still quickly said, She is an audit student of the lower house of the academy. Her name is Yen Qingcheng, and she has a fire spiritual root. The old man's face suddenly darkened. He originally thought that the number of cultivators and demonic beasts had been gathered and that they could use the great magic. He didn't expect this little girl to have a fire spiritual root. It was really unlucky. Since you have a fire spirit root, why did you enter this Thunder Valley? Before Yun Chujo could speak, the upper academy student hurriedly said, because of her, the thunder stone in the lower academy was ineffective. Therefore, she came over to redeem herself. Sir, I have already said everything I know. Can you let me go? The old man's lips curled into a sneer. Let you go? It's not impossible. You kill her, and PLL let you go. The student nodded without any hesitation, okay, PLL kill her now. He turned to Yun Chujo, Yen Qingcheng, don't blame me. If you don't do it for yourself, heaven and earth will destroy you. Moreover, my talent is much better than yours. My life will be more valuable than yours. If you want to blame me for being too useless. Yun Chujo immediately showed an incredulous look, you can't do tea. While Yun Chujo dodged to the side, she said to one of the ears, kill him. The more people we lack, the safer we will be. The 6 demon wolves immediately swarmed forward. In their simple minds, Yun Chujo was now their hope for survival, so they naturally had to comply. Moreover, they had signed a temporary contract with the female devil. If she died, wouldn't they also suffer? Although the student saw the 6 demon wolves, he did not connect them to Yun Chujo. Naturally, he did not expect them to suddenly attack, so he immediately lost the ability to resist. One of his ears was about to bite the student's throat, but his body was torn apart by a huge force. The other 5 demon wolves were the same. The old man waved his hand, and the student was once again thrown into the cage. His eyes also returned to their red color. Chapter 5690 Shah Mo. The old man laughed evilly. Humans are indeed the most foolish and selfish race. They will kill each other at the slightest danger. Little girl, do you hate him? Yun Chuzhou changed her timid expression and revealed an angry expression. I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked the demon wolf to help me kill him. The old man narrowed his eyes. If you kill all the people here, I will let you go. What will you do? Yun Chuzhou sneered. Of course I'll kill them. You heard me just now. PM just a student of the lower house in the academy. They often bully me. Even the lecturers don't look like lecturers. They treat me coldly. I've hated them to death. If I could trade them for my own life, of course I'd be happy. I have always been kind to others, but what did I get in return? If I can live, I will definitely change my way of living. I would rather betray the world than let the world betray me. You are not too stupid. Although your cultivation is a little low, I have no one to use now. You can stay and be my maid. When I get out of this predicament, I will naturally not lack your benefits. The old man said in a benevolent manner. He was not worried that Yun Chuzhou would play any tricks. She was just a piece of trash at the 9th level of spirit extinguisher. There was no way she could play any tricks. Yun Chuzhou immediately revealed an expression of fear and trepidation. Thank you, my lord, for not killing me. I will definitely be loyal to you. I will do anything to prove my loyalty. Do you need me to kill a few people in the prison to prove my loyalty? The old man waved his hand. I don't think you dare to play any tricks. They are still useful. It would be a waste to kill them. Then do you need me to lure a few cultivators with thunder spirit roots over? The old man sneered. No need. I think someone will come to me soon. I will never come back. No one can escape from me. Seeing this, Yun Chuzhou flattered him a little. Then, she took out a table and chair from her storage ring, poured some tea and placed some pastries on the table. She said respectfully, Sir, please. The old man nodded with satisfaction. Although this little girl's cultivation was a little low, she knew how to cause trouble. It was not bad to keep her. His gaze fell on the 6 demon wolves. The 6 demon wolves immediately kneeled on the ground with their front legs, looking pitiful. The old man, no wonder that little girl bribed them with some food. She really didn't have the moral integrity of a demonic beast. Sir, can we keep them for now? After all, PM too weak. There are some things that I might not be able to complete without their help. If we can't gather enough demonic beasts in the end, it won't be too late for you to lock the... The old man thought for a moment. In this place, he was the ruler. There were only 6 demonic beasts, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Therefore, he nodded and agreed. The admiration of the 6 demonic wolves toward Yun Chuzhou was like a torrential river. The female demon was indeed powerful. The trick she taught them was indeed effective. Yun Chuzhou poured a cup of tea for the old man and asked, Sir, I heard that you are not a human. Then who are you? The old man said arrogantly, Of course I am not a sinister human. I am a noble demon, and I am the fiercest Shah Mo among the demons. Yun Chuzhou's heart skipped a beat. Shah Mo? She had once learned the whereabouts of a few demons from a succubus, and one of them was Shah Mo. According to the succubus, Shah Mo was locked in the Qiankun realm. Could this be the Qiankun realm? Chapter 5691 If only I were a demon. Yun Chuzhou immediately revealed an expression of pleasant surprise and worship. So it's Senior Shah Mo. I've long heard of your great name. I've heard of you like thunder. Seeing you today is indeed wise and wise. Junior is truly fortunate to be able to follow Senior. The old man had been trapped here for 10,000 years and had not heard such flattery for a very long time. He felt very comfortable in his heart and nodded, "You little girl, you sure know how to talk. However, you are wrong about one thing. My name is not Sha-Mo. Sha-Mo is just one of the many races of the demon race." Yun Chujia's face revealed the perfect curiosity. "Senior, I am young and I don't have much knowledge." "What do you mean? Why can't I understand?" The old man clearly liked Yun Chujia's attentive attitude and said, "The demon race is divided into 6 major clans, namely Sky Demon, Shui-Mo, Sha-Mo, Ing-Mo, Tan-Mo and Succubus. Among them, the Sky Demon clan is the noblest, Shui-Mo is the most insidious, and we Sha-Mo are the fiercest. As for the other 3, they are all inferior clans that cannot be put on the stage." Yun Chujio pursed her lips in her heart. So it turned out that she was only ranked 3rd. This fellow ridiculed in his heart, but on the surface, he said with a face full of admiration, "So that's how it is. Listening to your words is better than reading 10 years of books. I've learned a lot. Sigh, I wish I was a demon. I'm really ashamed of being a human. I wish I could strip off this human skin and become a demon." Hearing Yun Chujia's words, the smile on the old man's face became more genuine. He said, "You don't have to be so sad. After I regain my freedom and complete my mission, I will return to the demon continent. As long as you are obedient, I will bring you back to the demon continent as well. Although the human race's situation in the demon continent isn't very good, with me taking care of you, it won't be a big problem. When the time comes, you can marry another demon, and you will be completely safe." Hearing his words, Yun Chujia's face revealed a bashful and happy expression, but her heart was filled with waves. She didn't know whether her cheap parents were from the demon race or not, and Wu JP's head might also be from the demon race. Perhaps in the future, she would really have to go to the demon continent. This Sha-Mo was just like his name, a silly demon. It was best to think of a way to control it, in case she had to go to the demon continent in the future. However, this old thing was still alive, so it wasn't easy to settle it down. It would be better if it was like Qi Ying. If she could contract him, she could stuff him into the spirit beast pouch. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio used her spiritual sense. But Face's heart, are you crazy? Contract the demon race. Why don't you go to heaven? However, what the old man said was, "Little fairy, you can even contract with me." What's a mere old demon? You can definitely contract with them. Hun Dun scoffed at But Face's words. Just as he was about to speak, Yun Chujio cut off the spiritual sense connection with them because the old man frowned in dissatisfaction. "Why aren't you speaking? Are you secretly talking to those demon wolves?" "Senior, you are really sharp-eyed. I was indeed communicating with them just now. They also want to go to the demon continent, but I don't know if they can survive in the demon continent," Yun Chujio said in a flattering manner. The 6 demon wolves were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. They wouldn't want to go to the demon continent unless they were crazy. However, the old man believed it. After all, in his mind, the demon continent was the best continent and the holy land that all races yearned for. It was normal for the 6 demon wolves to want to go there. Chapter 5692 Taiji Diagram. The old man curled his lips. They definitely won't be able to go. If the fierce beasts are still passable, the demonic beasts and spirit beasts will be corroded to death by the demonic qi when they arrive at the demon race continent. Yun Chujio said regretfully, "That's such a pity. It's their loss that they don't have such good fortune." "Senior, what great technique are you preparing to cultivate by trapping these cultivators and demonic beasts with thunder spirit roots? Do you need me to do any preparations?" The old man was now certain that Yun Chujio had completely submitted to him, so he did not hide anything. He said, "I have been trapped in this Qiankun arcane realm for many years. Although my life is not in danger, the days I have been trapped here are really depressing. The seal of this Qiankun arcane realm is quite strong. Even if I used demonic chi to corrode it for 10,000 years, it only loosened a little. It was precisely because the seal loosened a little that the universe secret realm surfaced from the ground. I racked my brains to come up with a method. The power of lightning is the strongest power in this world. Only by borrowing the power of lightning can I completely break the seal. Coincidentally, I know of an array formation. By burning their spiritual roots, they can obtain extremely strong power of lightning. This way, they might be able to break the seal. Although this method is extremely risky, after all, we demons are still more afraid of the power of lightning. However, in order to obtain freedom as soon as possible, I can only take the risk and give it a try. Yun Chujio looked around and then said in puzzlement, "Senior, are you joking? Where is the seal here? Besides, I see that your magical power is boundless and doesn't look like you are being imprisoned. Please don't lie to me." The old man smiled with some self-satisfaction. "This little bit of mana is nothing. It's not even 1% of what I was at my peak. As for the seal, didn't you notice that there's a blue sky full of stars but no sun and moon?" Yun Chujio nodded. "Yes, why is there no sun and moon?" The old man waved his hand, and a streak of black gas went straight to the top of the cave. On the left side of the top of the cave, a red sun slowly appeared, and on the right side, a crescent moon appeared. Just as Yun Chujio was surprised, the red sun and the crescent moon actually started to rotate. In the end, they actually turned into two yin-yang fish, and finally formed a Taiji diagram. The Taiji diagram emitted an ancient aura. The 6 demon wolves could not help but kneel on the ground and tremble. Seeing this, Yun Chujio quickly pretended to be intimidated by the pressure and said with a trembling voice, This is a seal. It's too terrifying." The old man's eyes revealed a look of hatred. "If this thing had not been suppressing me, I would have already accomplished my great cause. It's really hateful. However, most of my magic power had been sealed. Coupled with the loss of these years, it was already less than 1% of my peak. I could only gamble." The Taiji diagram seemed to only appear when one felt the demonic chi. At this time, the cave ceiling had already returned to its previous state. Yun Chujio stood up. "Senior, you said that this method is a bit risky. Is there no other way? I really don't want you to take the risk. If there is another way, just tell me. I will do my best." The old man nodded. "You are a good girl. I will not mistreat you in the future. Actually, it is not that there is no other way. It is just too difficult. It is several times more difficult than using these thunder spirit root cultivators and demonic beasts to set up a formation." "What way?" "If we had the ancient divine weapon, the Heaven Punisher divine axe, to destroy a few of the array holes on the cave ceiling, then the seal would naturally be broken. Unfortunately, 10,000 years have passed. Regardless of where the Heaven Punisher divine axe is, even if it has already appeared in the world, it's impossible for someone to come and save me." The old man sighed. Chapter 5693 Demon God Contract. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. No wonder she felt the ground tremble when she used the kitchen knife to cut the cave ceiling. She must have accidentally destroyed a formation core. Of course, she was not a fool. Naturally, she would not be so foolish as to say that she had the Heaven Punisher divine axe. The old man sighed. "That is indeed not easy. It seems that we can only take the risk and try using the formation. However, the demon race is undying and indestructible. You do not have to worry too much. That being said, after rebirth, the cultivation will be very weak. It is better to not die as a last resort." The old man sighed. Yun Chujio chatted with the old man for a while. In her heart, she calculated that this was the first time the demon race had contracted with her. How should she operate it? Previously, when she contracted Buttface and the others, they were the ones who took the initiative to establish the contract with her. She was passive and did not know how to operate it at all. Why not try using the ordinary demon beast method? Using the beast taming technique? Would it work? This guy thought for a moment and tried to find something to say. Senior, you must have had many subordinates before, right? Other than using your reputation to make them submit, do you have any other methods to control? The old man looked at her suspiciously. Why are you asking about this? I'm just a little curious. After all, the demon race is so powerful. How can they be willing to be controlled by others? If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Just pretend that I didn't ask. Yun Chujio said somewhat embarrassedly. The old man curled his lips. This isn't a secret. For my confidants, I will establish a demon god contract with them. The demon god contract has one side as the master and the other as the servant. It's similar to how humans contract demon beasts. However, the risk of a demonic contract is greater. If the master's spiritual sense is not as strong as the servant's spiritual sense, it is very likely that the master and servant of the demonic contract will be switched. Yun Chuzhou showed a hesitant look at first, then knelt on the ground with a determined look. Senior, this junior is willing to establish a demonic contract with you. Only then can you completely trust me and treat me as your confidant. You will not abandon me in the future. The old man frowned. There's no need for that. As long as you work hard for me, I will naturally trust you. Yun Chujia's eyes immediately reddened. You lied to me. When you regain your freedom, there will definitely be many people who will seek refuge with you. I am also such a trash. When that time comes, how will you still remember me? So you should establish a dem. You can't be afraid that my spiritual sense is stronger than yours, so you don't dare to establish a demonic god contract with me, right? Yun Chujia's face immediately paled when she said this. Senior, I was just spouting nonsense. Please don't blame me. The old man's expression was a little unsightly. After a long while, he said, all right, since you insist, I'll fulfill your wish. The old man was a little unhappy, but he could only endure it for now since there was no one available. Moreover, after establishing the demon god contract, he felt more at ease. He let Yun Chuzhou bite the index finger of his right hand. Then, he formed a seal with both hands and a drop of black liquid floated out from his forehead. The liquid wrapped around the blood that was squeezed out from Yun Chujia's index finger and floated into the air. The old man kept waving his hands and an obscure spell leaked out from his mouth. The black liquid and the red blood bead finally blended together and then split into two, hiding between Yun Chujia's and the old man's brows. Chapter 5694, Do you eat wolf meat? Just as the liquid merged into the old man's and Yun Chujia's brows, Yun Chuzhou noticed that the liquid had turned into several streaks of black chi that lingered in her sea of consciousness. In addition, she noticed that her spiritual sense seemed to have invaded the old man's spiritual sense, but it was very weak. This was probably the difference between a master and a servant. If she wanted to switch between master and servant, she needed to suppress the black chi in her sea of consciousness. At the same time, she also needed to strengthen her control over the old man's spiritual sense. However, she could not act rashly for the time being. This old thing's cultivation was much higher than hers. Moreover, this was his territory, so she had to take things slowly. When the old man saw that the contract was successful, his attitude towards Yun Chuzhou became better. After all, once the demonic god contract was established, he did not need to worry about the little girl in front of him having any other intentions, because a single thought from him could make her suffer so much that she wished she could live or even die. As for the possibility that the demon god contract might have a master-servant swap, it was not within the old man's considerations. Yun Chujia's face revealed an extremely happy expression. Senior, I will definitely do my best to serve you in the future. I wonder if you can get used to the food of our human race. Why don't I kill a demon wolf and roast it for you, the 6 demon wolves? Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say that? The old man was very satisfied with Yun Chujia's hospitality. He smiled and said, I don't care about the appetite. Besides, it doesn't matter if the demon race doesn't eat for a long time. I'm a little tired. Help me keep an eye on these humans and demon beasts. I'll take a short break. Senior, don't worry. Not even an ant can escape, let alone these cultivators and demon beasts. Yun Chujo said confidently. The old man nodded in satisfaction. His whole body turned into a cloud of black mist and disappeared into the ceiling of the cave. Afraid that the old man was observing her in the dark, Hei Shinjo pretended to be on high alert. She looked around as carefully as she could. However, a dim light flashed in her lowered eyes, and she established a connection WITNTNE Dumb Cuties MTNE Spiritual Beast Pauknagam. As soon as she established a connection, Hun Dun said in a muffled voice, "You were fooled by Butt-Face. It is impossible for a human to contract a demon. He is just talking nonsense." Butt-Face quibbled, "Just because others can't do it, doesn't mean that the little fairy can't do it. Others can't contract with you, so why are you obediently here now?" Hun Dun was infuriated by Butt-Face. "I just haven't grown any hair. Otherwise, I will kill you, you son of a bitch." "Alright, stop arguing. Let me ask you, do you know about the demon god contract?" "I have established a demon god contract with that old thing now. How can I quickly swap master and servant?" Yun Chujo asked. Hun Dun was stunned at first, then he roared, "Are you a pig? You actually established a demon god contract with him? Swap master and servant? What a fantasy. If I knew you were so stupid, I wouldn't have established a contract with you in the first place." Yun Chujo frowned, that Sha Mo said that as long as the servant's spiritual sense is strong enough, he can swap master and servant. My spiritual sense is definitely stronger than his. Why can't I swap master and servant? Hun Dun glared at Butt-Face. "Speak." Butt-Face realized that he had most likely caused trouble. He said weakly, that little fairy, since the demon god contract is called the demon god contract, it is because this kind of contract is mainly aimed at the demon race. The side that can become the master can only be the demon race, and you are a human, so, you know. Chapter 5695, Dog 2's quick thinking. Yun Chujo was stunned for a moment before she gritted her teeth and said, "What you mean is that it's impossible for me to switch places. I can only be that old devil's servant, right?" Dog 2 shrunk its neck. "Little fairy, you are too reckless. I said that you can contract him, but I didn't say that you can establish a demonic god contract with him. This is not my fault." Very good, very good. Butt-Face, it seems that I have been too merciful to you. After I settle the matter in front of me, I will let you know what it means to be miserable." Yun Chujo sneered. She was so regretful that her intestines were turning green. No wonder that old devil had established a demonic god contract with her so easily. It turned out that he was certain that there was no possibility of swapping master and servant. Damn Butt-Face. When the other dumb cubs heard this, they immediately began to beat up Butt-Face. It was because of his careless words that they were all implicated. He was really asking for a beating. Butt-Face was beaten up until he cried like a ghost and howled like a wolf. In his panic, he shouted, "Wait! Wait! Little fairy, I thought of a crucial matter." Yun Chujo narrowed her eyes and gestured for the other dumb cubs to let go of him. She asked, "What is it?" Butt-Face narrowed his swollen eyes and said, "Little fairy, your parents are suspected of the demon race. You might also have the bloodline of the demon race. Moreover, you were the ghost ancestor and the demon ancestor in your previous life. You are definitely not a human. Maybe you can successfully swap master and servant. Why don't you give it a try? If you don't succeed, you can deal with me later." Yun Chuji's heart skipped a beat. What Butt-Face said was not without reason. It was better to give it a try first. If she failed, it would not matter. That old devil was very fond of achievement and needed manpower urgently. She could fool him. I will try to switch master and servant in a while. If there is any progress, that old devil will definitely kill me. When that time comes, it will be up to you. Buttface immediately said confidently, Little fairy, don't worry. I, Buttface, will protect you with my life. Hun Dun angrily slapped Buttface away. You weakling. Get out of my way. If I wait for you to save the little girl, grass will grow on her grave. Buttface fell and choked. He said angrily, That's because I haven't recovered my strength. Otherwise, you Baldy wouldn't be a match for me. Hun Dun's biggest taboo was to be called Baldy, so he immediately wanted to fight with Buttface. Yun Chujo said with a cold face, Enough. If you want to fight, wait until I take care of the old devil. If I fail, all of you won't be able to recover. All of you, be more energetic. After saying that, Yun Chujo gave another order to the 6 demon wolves and then began to sit cross-legged and meditate. The 6 demon wolves looked at each other. They were really unlucky. This female devil actually wanted to contract that old devil. Wasn't she courting death? But what could they do? They could only obey obediently. Otherwise, they would definitely die before this female devil. In Yun Chujia's sea of consciousness, the Yuan Shin that was quietly meditating suddenly opened its eyes. Its sharp gaze swept across the surrounding black gas in her sea of consciousness. With a sudden wave of her hand, several purple lightning bolts shot towards the black gas. Her attack was very sudden. At this time, the old man was taking a nap. It was the time when he was most relaxed. Thus, those purple lightning bolts seemed to have struck the black gas. The black gas immediately weakened a little, but it also woke the old man up. A thunderous roar sounded in Yun Chujia's spiritual sense. Junior, what are you trying to do? Yun Chujo ignored him and continued to command the purple lightning to attack the black gas. Since the black gas could weaken, it meant that there was a possibility of it turning back to its master. She could not give up halfway. Chapter 5696 must be an illusion. The old man's shocked and angry voice sounded again. You are actually a heavenly thunder spirit root. You are actually not a human. Tell me, who are you? Yun Chujo naturally did not pay attention to him. The purple lightning kept striking at the black fog. Suddenly, the black fog turned into black poisonous snakes, crazily biting Yun Chujia's spiritual sense. Darn girl, do you think you can swap master and servant? You're delusional. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. I'll use you to make up the numbers. One heavenly thunder spirit root is equivalent to hundreds of ordinary thunder spirit roots. You'll definitely be able to completely break my seal. Although the old man was furious from embarrassment, he wasn't too worried. How powerful could a little girl's spiritual sense be? He could easily destroy her spiritual sense, and then he could use the array formation to gain freedom. However, he was soon shocked to find that the purple lightning could easily damage the black poisonous snake. What shocked him even more was that hundreds of Qi Ling appeared out of nowhere and crazily pounced on the black poisonous snake. How was this possible? How could a person contract so many Qi Ling? It must be an illusion. Among those Qi Ling, there were the Qi Ling of the immortal sword, and most of them were the Qi Ling of other immortal weapons. They were almost suffocated to death. The smelly girl had deceived them from the ancient sword tomb and said that she would let them go free, but she had been locked up until now. Those immortal swords could occasionally go out for a stroll, but they were so good that they were going to be locked up for life. However, they did not dare to resist. The only thing that made them happy was that as Yun Chujia's spiritual sense became stronger, their cultivation had also increased compared to before. Of course, the happiest thing was that there was someone who did not have eyes who wanted to devour Yun Chujia's primordial spirit. This way, they could have a full meal, which was much better than slowly cultivating. Therefore, those black poisonous snakes were fragrant food in their eyes. At this time, the weapon spirits were going crazy with joy. Finally, someone blind came. It was really wonderful. As the black poisonous snakes gradually dissipated, Yun Chujo could feel that the strand of divine sense that she had invaded into the old man's sea of consciousness became stronger. The purple divine sense turned into several small lightning bolts that surrounded the old man's sea of consciousness. Yun Chujia's mind flashed, and those purple lightning bolts struck towards the old man's divine sense. The old man couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. The old man gnashed h. This lord has fallen into your trap. This lord originally wanted to keep your main body to set up the array. Since you are courting death, this lord will send you on your way. At the same time, the old man's main body also floated out from the top of the cave. After condensing into a human shape, he swung his palm towards Yun Chujo, who was meditating. Seeing this, the 6 demon wolves immediately shot out a few wind blades at the old man. The old man released a few streaks of black gas, and those wind blades instantly turned into nothingness. A mere 6 demon wolves want to stop me? How naive. After the old man finished speaking, he waved his sleeve, wanting to use his murderous aura to control the 6 demon wolves. In this way, the 6 demon wolves would be like the demon beasts trapped in the cage, losing their mind and becoming stupid. Then, the old man was stunned to discover that it was actually useless. He could not help but be stunned. This did not make sense. He had deliberately placed the water droplets containing the baleful aura in the tunnel, as well as the lightning stones that were tainted with the baleful aura. Why were these demon wolves not affected? Although the old man was somewhat puzzled, he did not panic too much. Even if he did not use the baleful aura to control them, it would not be a big problem for him to kill these 6 demon wolves. As long as he killed these 6 demon wolves, he would be able to kill that darn girl who had the audacity to deceive him. Chapter 5697 The master-servant relationship was switched. 6 streams of black gas overflowed from the old man's hand and transformed into a black poisonous snake that pounced towards the 6-headed demon wolf. The 6-headed demon wolf was also going all out at this moment. It used the energy it used to shoot at Yun Chujo and desperately shot out wind blades. This was because they knew that they were now on the same boat as Yun Chujo. If Yun Chujo did not survive, they would not survive either. The old man smiled contemptuously. He released 6 streams of black gas again and turned into a black poisonous snake that charged at the 6-headed demon wolf. One of his ears was bitten by a poisonous snake. Immediately, a murderous aura entered his body and his eyes turned red. He was stunned on the spot. Soon after, the other 5 demon wolves were also bitten by the black poisonous snake. All of them were stunned. The old man sneered. He did not kill the 6 demon wolves because he wanted to keep the 6 demon wolves in formation. Just as the old man was about to command the poisonous snake to pounce on Yun Chujo, he heard a muffled voice, "You old fart. You still want to contract a little girl? You really overestimate yourself. If you contract her, won't you contract me in a different way? You're really courting death. You're forcing me to sing. I'll sing for you now." The old man turned his head and saw a monster wearing a green sweater appear out of thin air. Although the monster had 4 legs, it didn't have claws. Its 2 bell-sized eyes didn't have any eyeballs, and its ears were drooping. The old man's eyes were wide open. It looked like a bear with long fur. Yes, it had a sweater covering its body, 4 legs without claws, 2 eyes, and 2 ears. It was the ancient fierce beast, Hun Dun, right? How did the majestic ancient vicious beast become like this? Hun Dun did not pay attention to him. A mesmerizing song drifted out. The old man's expression turned cold. He hurriedly circulated his demonic chi to resist and commanded the black poisonous snakes to pounce on Yun Chujo. At this moment, a ball of flame smashed toward the black poisonous snakes. The black poisonous snakes instantly dissipated. The old man looked at the fat black crow flapping its wings on the ground in disbelief. Nirvana fire. Ancient black phoenix. Aren't all the black phoenixes dead? You're the one who's dead. This young master is still alive and well. You old fart, you actually dared to provoke my master, you're really courting death. The old man was shocked and ecstatic. What was shocking was that an ordinary-looking little girl actually had Hun Dun and the ancient black phoenix. He was ecstatic that the divine beast and vicious beast must have signed an equal contract with that stinky girl. After he killed that stinky girl, Hun Dun and the ancient black phoenix would be his. The old man formed a seal with his hands and released several black poisonous snakes again. These poisonous snakes were different from the previous ones. Not only were there more of them, but they also had horns on their heads. So, to be precise, these were black poisonous snakes. Although Xiao Hanyo could spit out nirvana flames, there was a pause in between. For a moment, it could not protect Yun Chuzhou. At this moment, several figures appeared out of thin air. The white tiger stretched out its sharp claws and pounced at one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao He stretched out its claws and slapped at one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao Mogu stretched out its mycelium and wrapped it around one of the poisonous flood dragons. The few rabbits also pounced towards one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao Hong the red fox did not join in the battle. It stood beside Hun Dun and roared. Although its heavenly fox 9 howls could not compare to the power of Hun Dun's singing, it could still lend Hun Dun a helping hand. When the old man saw that the poisonous flood dragons that he had released were dispersed, he could not help but take a few steps back. He could recognize the white tiger and the stone-eating rat, but what the hell were Xiao Mogu and those few strange-looking rabbits? And could it be that the crying red fox had the bloodline of the 9-tailed fox? Chapter 56-98 He was the joke this, how could that stinky girl have so many spiritual pets? And they were all so extraordinary. Could it be because she had the heavenly thunder spirit root? Only then did he remember a huge question. The heavenly thunder spirit root was not tolerated by Tian Dao, but that stinky girl was still alive and kicking. Could it be that Tian Dao did not discover her existence? How was this possible? Just as the old man was feeling bewildered, a sharp pain came from his spiritual sense. It turned out that while he was fighting with these stupid cuties, there were not many black poisonous snakes left that had invaded Yun Chujia's sea of consciousness. Correspondingly, the spiritual sense that Yun Chuzhou had invaded his sea of consciousness became stronger and stronger. The purple lightning had already covered more than half of his sea of consciousness. The master-servant relationship of the demon-god contract was completely reversed. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou, who was originally sitting cross-legged, opened her eyes. A brilliant smile appeared on her face. "Old servant, why aren't you kneeling and paying respects to your master when you see him?" Due to the intense pain in his spiritual sense, the old man's face had already twisted from the pain. He had been tricked. This stinky girl had deliberately released her spiritual pet intermittently to divert his attention. And she had taken advantage of this moment to completely reverse the demonic god contract. He could feel that the spiritual sense that had invaded the stinky girl's sea of consciousness was so weak that it almost disappeared. If not for the demonic god contract, it would have been completely devoured. And the stinky girl's spiritual sense had completely invaded his sea of consciousness. It was even more powerful than the amount that he had invaded her sea of consciousness before. The purple lightning had almost covered more than half of his sea of consciousness. The intense pain at this time was just a piece of cake. If she wanted to, his spiritual sense would be completely crippled. The old man was very unwilling. Very depressed. However, he could do nothing. One wrong move and the whole game would be lost. Seeing that the old man didn't move, Yun Chuzhou snorted, "Old fool, didn't you hear what I said? Come over and greet master." "Old fool." The old man was so angry that Yazi was about to burst. He endured the pain of his spiritual sense and gritted his teeth. A scholar can be killed but not humiliated. Sha Moi will not submit to a human like you. At most, I will be reborn. Yun Chuzhou, what's your name? Sha Moi. Samied? Why did you call it a dog name? The old man, although he did not know what Samoyed was, he was still very. His body was covered in a layer of black fog, and he stretched out his hands and began to form seals. Hun Dun shouted from the side, "Not good, he's going to self-destruct." Yun Chujo was also very frightened. This old thing's temper was too fierce. He was going to self-destruct at the slightest disagreement. What should she do? Although she could hide in the great void mystic realm, what about Sect Master Yuan and the 6 silly wolves? As for whether Deputy Director Xiaofu and the others would live or die, it was not within this fellow's considerations. They would die wherever they were willing to die. None of them were good. At this moment, Hun Dun and Xiao Hanyo had already begun to attack the old man. They wanted to stop him from self-destructing, but they did not know what the black fog was, neither the white tiger's sharp claws nor Xiao Hanyo's nirvana fire could break through it. At this moment, Buttface, who was inside the spirit beast bag, roared, "Little fairy, try to put him into the spirit beast bag." Maybe this old thing is the same as Qi Ying. Qi Ying, who was curled up in the corner, glared at Buttface angrily. What a whimsical thought. It was one thing for him to be unlucky, but he still wanted to put the demon into the spirit beast bag? What a joke. Plop. A black shadow appeared in the spirit beast pouch, accompanied by an angry roar. Where is this place? How did I become like this? Qi Ying, alright, he is the joke. Chapter 56-99 Demon Nurturing Specialist Buttface looked at the black shadow and said fiercely, "Where is this?" "This is the little fairy's spirit beast pouch." "You old fart. It's because of you that I, Lord Buttface, have been beaten to such a state. Just you wait, when all my underlings are here, I'll beat you to death." Sha Mo had now turned into a ball of black mist. After hearing Buttface's words, he immediately shouted angrily, "Bullshit. You're spouting nonsense. PM a noble Sha Mo, how could I be put into a spirit beast pouch? It must be that smelly girl who used some kind of scheme to bring me to this dark place." Buttface clicked his tongue and said, "Old fool, you really are a silly demon. Just accept your fate." This was the little fairy's spirit beast pouch. Hey, that rabbit was originally a human, but now it's also obediently hiding in the spirit beast pouch. Let me tell you, our little fairy is a pervert. Things that are impossible with others are possible with her. You old fool, you even made the little fairy acknowledge you as her master before. HMPitch, you'll have a good time in the future. At this moment, Hei Shinjiu, who was outside, had a dumbfounded expression. She actually put Sha Mo into the spirit beast pouch. She was a professional demon slayer, wouldn't she become a demon breeder in the future? Io, did she have to be so outstanding? This guy was infatuated with himself for a while. When he remembered that he still had something important to do, he quickly put Hun Dun and the others into the spiritual beast bag. This guy looked at the people in the cage and narrowed his eyes. Although it would be glorious if she became the savior of these people, a tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. It was better not to take this credit. Moreover, she could not explain what had happened. Therefore, Hei Shinjo did not pay attention to the people in the cage and released the demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were now filled with a murderous aura. They were all in a daze. Even when the door was opened, none of them moved. Yun Chujo put all the demonic beasts into the spiritual beast bag. As for the humans, there would naturally be reinforcements. In this way, there was no need for her to explain and no one would suspect her. After all, she was a good-for-nothing. Sigh, she was really too kind. She always did good deeds without leaving her name behind. After taking a few steps, the fellow turned back. The student from the upper house had seen her before. Leaving her alive would be a disaster. Yun Chujo directly let the small flame burn the student into ashes. After destroying the corpse, she left the stone hall. On the way, this guy had even kept all the scattered lightning stones in his bag. She had even subdued Sha Mo, so she was naturally not afraid of the little murderous aura on the lightning stones. Unfortunately, when this guy reached the entrance of the death cave, he was blocked by an invisible barrier. Hei Xinjiu was stunned at first, then came to a realization. Sha Mo was sealed in the death cave, so she had to remove the seal first before she could leave this place. Therefore, this fellow ran back and chopped the top of the cave into pieces. Only then did he return to the entrance of the cave. As expected, he successfully exited the death cave this time. I say, Samoya, you should thank me properly. If it weren't for me, you might not have been able to escape even if you set up a great array, Hei Xinjiu said slyly with her spiritual sense. When Sha Mo saw Hun Dun and the others, he had no choice but to believe he had been put into the spirit beast pouch in a daze. At this moment, he heard Yun Chujia's voice as she gnashed her teeth and said, I advise you to release me immediately so that I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, you will regret it sooner or later. Buttface roared, You old fool, how dare you talk nonsense? Brothers, beat him up. Chapter 5700, What a painful realization. Upon hearing this, the silly cubs immediately rushed forward and gave Sha Mo a fierce beating. Damn it, they actually thought that their master would become his servant, then what were they? Weren't they the servant's spiritual pets? Sha Mo originally thought that his body was condensed from a baleful aura and wouldn't feel pain, but he was wrong. Sha Mo's miserable cry came from the spiritual beast bag. Qiying shrank back into the corner. These animals did not care about the severity of their attacks. It was better not to provoke them. What a painful realization. Yun Chujiu did not stop Buttface and the others from attacking. This old devil was asking for a beating. It would be good for him to learn his lesson. After coming out of the death cave, Yun Chujiu released Gowei Batsao and let it scout ahead to avoid meeting the reinforcements of the Academy of 10 Directions. The next morning, Yun Chujiu sensed the warning of the Gowei Batsao and moved to a place where the lightning-struck rocks were produced to avoid the reinforcements. After another 2 hours, Yun Chujiu released the demonic beasts. Fortunately, the area where the lightning-struck rocks were produced was very large. Otherwise, it would not be able to hold so many demonic beasts. This fellow wanted to subdue these demonic beasts, but she could not afford to raise them. It was already difficult for her to raise Xiao Hanyo and Xiao Mogu, so how could she have the extra power of lightning to feed them? Not to mention, there were 3 gluttons in her dantian. Yun Chujiu released Sha Mo and ordered him to retrieve the murderous aura from those demonic beasts. Sha Mo was very scheming. Although he had suffered a heavy blow from the poop, he had not collapsed even after being trapped for 10,000 years. Naturally, he would not give up just because of the unforeseen circumstances. As soon as he was released, he returned to his previous appearance. His eyes flickered a few times, and without any nonsense, he withdrew the devilish aura from the demonic beasts. He sneered in his heart. This stinky girl was really smart and muddle-headed. Once these demonic beasts regained their consciousness, the first thing they would do would probably be to eat her. Although they had signed a demonic god contract, as long as one of them died, the demonic god contract would be cancelled. Although he could not personally kill this stinky girl, using the demonic beasts to kill people was also a good choice. After he withdrew the murderous aura from the demonic beasts, he formed a seal with his hands and was about to self-destruct. Yun Chujiu had no choice but to put him back into the spiritual beast pouch. This was exactly what he wanted to kill the demons. If he stayed outside, once the demonic beasts attacked the stinky girl would definitely let him take action. HMPH, in your dreams. Very soon, the stinky girl would be eaten by the demonic beasts until there were no bones left. At that time, he would be free. At the same time, he could also subdue so many divine beasts and fierce beasts. It was simply a blessing in disguise. The murderous aura on the demonic beasts was withdrawn and they immediately regained their consciousness. The demonic beasts were momentarily stunned. They quickly reacted with one ear and ran to Yunchuji's side. They thought to themselves, since they had already left the cave of death, did that mean that this female demon had really contracted that demon? Oh my god! What kind of pervert was this? Fortunately, they were tactful and did not go against her. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. Yun Chujo was currently standing at the exit of the lightning strike stone producing area. She glanced at the demon beasts that were still confused about the situation before her and said with a chuckle, "You were trapped in the death cave previously. I risked my life to save you. Shouldn't you give me some lightning strike stones as a thank you gift?" You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.